Hello students, welcome to 10th lecture of structure of atom. In previous lecture we discussed about dual behavior of electromagnetic radiation and some numericals. If you have any confusion regarding to numericals, feel free to ask. And now let us move on our next point. As discussed earlier, according to Max Planck, electrons must have to absorb or emit certain value of energy. They cannot absorb or emit in between the value of that energy. As for example, one example of staircase was mentioned. Suppose we have a staircase and each step has a height of 10 centimeter. That means a ground level will be 0, then first step height will be 10 centimeter, next will be 20, then 30 and so on. So that means a person can either stand on 0 or at the height of 10 centimeter or at the height of 20 centimeter, but it cannot stand in between these values. That means you cannot stand on the staircase at the height of 15 centimeters or 11 centimeters or 19 centimeters. So same thing is applicable with electrons. They need to absorb or emit certain value of energy, and it is called quantum. So this point, our next point, is based on that. So point is evidence for the quantized electronic energy levels or atomic spectra. Now as mentioned at the bottom of the page, the restriction of any property to discrete value is called quantization. That means you cannot get different values, or as for example, let us say our quantized value is 5. So each and every value you obtain will be either 5 or multiplier of 5. That means it should be 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 and so on. It cannot be 8, 12, 14, 16, etc. Okay, these type of values are not allowed. They cannot discrete values. Okay, so this is why it is called quantization. Now the speed of light depends upon the nature of the medium through which it passes. As a result, beam of light is deviated or refracted from its original path as it passes from the one medium to other. Now what is the deviation or refraction? Suppose we assume that this will be the path of light without any medium change. That means let us say it is continuously moving in air as a medium. Suppose if we put water in between it, so what will happen? When the light beam is passing from the air, medium is constant, but when it transfers its medium, that means from the air medium to water medium, its direction will change like this. Okay, and as soon as again when it reaches to the end of the container, again medium is changing from water. Here we have water medium, here we have air, and on the other hand again we have air medium. So when from the first transformation, then that means from air to water, light direction will change. Similarly, from water to air transformation, again light direction will change. Okay, so these type of observation will be done when light changes the medium. So these are the few examples of refraction of light. So as we can see, we have a straw half in air and half in water. So when light is coming out of the straw from the water medium and from the air medium, as you can see, both are different. So that's why it looks broken. Similar situation is observed in this case. So if you observe properly, we can see two different type of refractions here. First is spoon. This spoon is actually like this without any break. Okay, but as the medium of spoon changes from air to water, it refracts. That's why it looks broken from this side. Second thing is, if you observe the background, here we have two different colored background, but in air medium it looks different and in water medium again it looks different. As you can see, we have yellow light on left hand side and blue light on right hand side inside the air medium. But when light is moving through the glass, it changes direction, and you can see yellow part on the right hand side, blue part on left hand side, which is more obvious in this case. So these are the few glasses, and in different medium they shows different colors because light is refracted when passing through the medium. And one simple example, as we can see here, one straight light beam is coming from this direction, but initially it was in air medium, but when medium changes from air to glass, direction of light changes. When again light changes its medium, direction of light changes. That means glass to air. Okay, so we have air medium here, we have glass, and again air. So when the medium changes, direction of light changes. So it is observed that when a ray of white light is passed through the prism, the wave with a shorter wavelength bends more than the one with longer wavelength. Since the ordinary white light consists of waves with all the wavelengths in the visible range, the ray of white light is spread out into the series of colored bands called spectrum. So this is the simple example. When a white light passes through the prism, it spreads out because different wavelengths has a different angle of the refraction, that means changing in direction. So that's why all of the light present in white light will spread out, and these type of wavelength changes will be observed. As we can see in this image, shorter wavelengths will bend more and longer wavelengths will bend comparatively less. As we can see, if we observe the blue or violet light, the direction of violet light is like this. That means initial light was coming in straight direction, and this was the straight direction. Okay, if we follow the path, this will be our direction. If we observe the violet light, then direction of violet light will change like this. And if we observe the red light, then change in a direction of red light will be something like this. Okay, so as we can see, angle of red light and angle of this, that means second, or let us connect all the lights with straight point, so angles are obvious. So if we have comparatively larger wavelengths, then it will bend less, and shorter wavelengths have a tendency to bend more or refract more. So that's why these type of results will obtain, that means it will spread out, and this is called spectrum. As we can see, this is the visible light spectrum. All the different colors are seen. So as seen in image, the light of red color, which has the longest wavelength, is deviated the least, while the violet, which has shortest, will deviate most. The spectrum of white light has that we seen ranges from the violet 7.5 into 10 raised to 14 hertz to red 4 into 10 raised to 14 hertz. Such a spectrum is called continuous spectrum. That means you will get all of the in between results between these two. That means 4 to 7.5 into 10 raised to 14 hertz in between each and every wavelength can be obtained. Continuous because violet merges into blue, blue into green, and so on. So as seen in image, if you observe the result, that means as we can see here, each and every light is actually merged with each other. We cannot exact separate out with the specific boundary line. Okay, they are almost mixed with each other. That's why it is continuous. A similar spectrum is produced when the rainbow forms in the sky. So it is same type of effect. Instead of prism, white light passes through the drop of rain or drop of water, and same type of observation, that means all of the rays will be spread out. Remember that visible light is just a small portion of electromagnetic radiation, as we seen in figure 2.7. When the electromagnetic radiation interacts with the matter, atoms, molecules, may absorb the energy reach to a higher energy state. That means, as we know, according to thermodynamics, we cannot destroy or produce energies. We can just change its type. That means if we have kinetic energy, then we may change it into heat energy or electricity and so on. Okay, but we cannot destroy energies or we cannot produce it. So as mentioned in this case, when energy of electromagnetic radiation falls on the substance will absorb energy from them. As for example, when we place a metal piece in sunlight, after a few minutes, if we touch the metal plate, it will be comparatively higher in temperature because it will absorb the energy obtained from sunlight, which is a one type of electromagnetic radiation. So atoms molecules do absorb energy and reaches higher energy state. With higher energy, these are in the unstable state. Always energy and stability, they are inversely proportional. If energy increases, stability decreases. So higher energy represents less stable state. For returning to their normal or more stable lower energy state, the atoms and molecules emits the radiation in various regions of the electromagnetic spectrum. So it depends on the nature of molecules. They will first absorb the energy and then they will start emitting energy. But emission of energy depends on molecules or atoms. So first they will absorb, they will increase their energy, then it will start losing energy, and by the losing energy it will release some type of electromagnetic radiation. They may be in visible range or may not. If they fall in visible range, then we can see it, but if it is not in visible range, that means emitted energy or electromagnetic radiation is not in visible range, then we cannot see it, but we can detect it using certain detectors. So these are the few images of materials releasing energy in visible spectra. So as we can see, we have heated metals. When metals are heated at certain temperature, they will start losing energy and they are trying to uh, convert itself into stable state. Okay, so during this type of conversion, they will lose energy in visible range. That means electromagnetic radiation which has place in between the visible range. So that's why we can see glowing metals. Next is emission and absorption spectra. So emission, that means when something is coming out, and absorption when something is going inside, in simple manner. So in case of our this current point, emission, that means when electromagnetic radiation is coming out of the substance, and absorbance means when the substance are absorbing energy. Maybe it is in type of thermal energy or electrical energy, or it may be in this case electromagnetic radiation. So when electromagnetic radiation is absorbed, we can say it is absorption spectra, and when it is emitted, we can say it is emission spectra. The spectrum of the radiation emitted by a substance that has absorbed energy is called emission spectrum, and atoms, molecules or ions that have absorbed the radiation are said to be excited. That means when they absorb the energy, their energy increases, that's why stability decreases, and it is called excited state of the matter. To produce an emission spectrum, energy is supplied to the sample by heating it or irradiating it with the wavelength or frequency of the radiation emitted. As the sample gives up, the absorbed energy is recorded. That means simply we are doing that to obtain absorbance spectra. First we are providing energy to substance, it will absorb some of the energy and remaining energies will be recorded. And when you are trying to obtain emission spectra, first provide the energy to the substance. After reaching certain level, substance will start losing the energy and record the released energy or loosed energy, and it is called emission spectra. So absorbance and emission both are supplementary of each other. That means first absorbed value will be emitted later. As for example, suppose our sample is absorbing red light. So when we provide a spectrum of white light, our substance will absorb the red light from it. So what will be result afterwards? Obviously, if red light is absorbed, then red light will be emitted. So in case of emission spectra, you will get only red light. In case of adsorption spectra, you will get all the wavelengths except red light. So that means they are supplementary of each other, or we can say that it is photographic negative of emission. Absorbance is the photographic negative of emission spectra, and vice versa. A continuous radiation is passed through the sample which absorbs the radiation of certain wavelengths. The missing wavelengths which correspond to the radiation absorbed by the matter leave dark space in the bright continuous spectrum. That means, let us say we place some substance A in the path of this separated out lights or spectrum. So this substance A will absorb one of the wavelength or multiple wavelengths depending on the nature of atoms, molecules, ions present in it. So let us say our substance is absorbing two different lights. One of them, let us say this is a yellow light, and second one is, let us say this is blue light. So in this continuous spectra, when this spectra passes through our substance, result will be, you will get red line, then orange line, then empty space or dark spot, then, and empty space or dark spot is because of yellow light is absorbed by our substance A. Then you will get a green line, and then again a dark spot of blue light, and then violet light. Okay, so that means white and blue, both of them are absorbed by our substance, and that's why you will get empty region in this continuous spectra. So this is absorbance spectra of our substance. And now what about emission spectra? When this substance reaches to the certain level of energy, it will start losing energy. So it absorbed energy of yellow wavelength and blue wavelength. So obviously it will lose the same energy. So what will be our result? You will get only yellow spot or yellow light and blue light, because only these two were absorbed during the absorbance. So emission spectra contains only two different wavelengths in this case. Okay, and as we can see both of them, that means this is the emission spectra and this will be the absorbance spectra. So both of them, when we mix it together, you will get continuous spectral lines or visible spectra. So both of them are complementary of each other or supplementary of each other. So this is the result of absorption and emission spectra of hydrogen. So let us say our simple practical is, we used a tube containing hydrogen gas. When the spectrum of white light passes through this hydrogen containing gas chamber, some of the wavelengths will be absorbed by the hydrogen, and remaining wavelength is shown here. So as we can see, some of the energies are absorbed by the hydrogen atoms or molecules present inside the tube. That's why dark lines are observed at certain level. Okay, it shows hydrogen absorbed energy of this wavelength. Now when the hydrogen start losing the energy, we will record it also. So recorded emission spectra will be negative of previous one. Okay, so as we can see, all the absorbed wavelengths are now being emitted. Okay, if it absorbed this wavelength, then it will release this wavelength as well. If it absorb this wavelength, then again it will going to release it, and so on. Okay, so first it will absorb some of the wavelengths of electromagnetic radiation, then again it will lose it in emission spectra. Okay, so if we add both of these spectra into each other, you will get your continuous visible spectra. So the study of the emission or adsorption spectra is referred to as spectroscopy. The spectrum of the visible light, as the discussed above, was continuous as all the wavelengths of the visible lights are represented in the spectra. The emission spectra of atom in the gas phase, on the other hand, do not show continuous spread of wavelengths red to violet. Rather, they emit lights only at the specific wavelength with dark spaces in between, okay, as we observed in case of hydrogen spectra. So such spectral lines are called line spectra because they are lines, literally lines. That's why we are calling it line spectra or atomic spectra, because the emitted radiation is identified by the appearance of the bright lines in the spectra. Figure 2.10, page 45. So here a simple practical is mentioned. In first case we have emission spectra, and in second case we have adsorption spectra. So let us discuss adsorption spectra first. So we have a source of white light, that means all the visible lights are present in it, or all the visible wavelengths are present in it. Here we placed a absorbing sample, that means this sample will absorb some of the energies from the applied electromagnetic radiation. Then we placed a filter and a prism. Prism will spread out all of the lights or wavelengths present in it, as we discussed earlier. So spreaded line will be obtained in spectra, like a spectra. So when we observe adsorption spectra from it, as we can see, certain wavelengths are absorbed, and all the absorbed wavelengths will appear dark. Okay, as we can see, we obtained certain dark lines and certain dark regions. As we can see here, all of the dark region represents our sample absorbed these wavelengths. Now when the sample absorbed all of the required amount of energy, it will increase its energy, that's why it will become unstable, and now our sample is excited sample. So this excited sample will start losing the energy which falls in electromagnetic radiation range. So this absorbed energy will be emitted afterwards, and this emitted energy, when passes through the, or electromagnetic radiation when passes through this prism, it will spread out and we will record it. And as we can see here, this is our emission spectra. So all the line absorbed earlier are now visible in this case. That means, as we can see, you can compare these two side by side, emission and adsorption spectra. If this region was absorbed earlier, now it will be emitted. All these green lights will be absorbed and now it is being emitted. All these yellow and reddish lines are now absorbed, and so on. So all of the lights absorbed earlier are now being emitted. Okay, so both of them are supplementary or contemporary of each other, or we can say that both of them are negative of each other. So line spectra, line emission spectra has a great importance. Each element has their own unique emission spectrum. That means we can identify unknown substance by comparing with previously recorded data. If it matches, or its line spectra matches with any other sample, we can say that both of them are exactly same. If it do not matches with any recorded data, then we can say that we found something new. Okay, so that means characteristic lines of each and every particle substance are unique, so we can identify them through their emission line spectra. So chemical analysis also uses this type of data to identify the substances. The exact matching the line of the emission spectra of the atoms of known element with the line from the unknown sample quickly established the identity of the latter. German chemist Robert Bunsen was the one of the first investigator to use line spectra to identify elements. So certain elements are mentioned here. Those were discovered when their minerals were analyzed by the spectroscopic method. The element helium was discovered in the sun by the spectroscopic method. That means we know that helium is present inside the sun. That means it is being produced during the fusion of hydrogen. That's why it is releasing the energy. But we are not able to go there and check. So how can we say that it contains hydrogen because helium? Because of its emission spectra. Sun emits light, we can record that light and we can analyze it. So it is obvious from that practical, as we discussed here, emitted light belongs to helium. Now line spectrum of hydrogen. When an electric discharge tube is passed through the gaseous hydrogen, H2 molecule dissociates and energetically excited hydrogen atoms produced emit electromagnetic radiation of discrete frequencies. Okay, so as mentioned here, discrete frequencies, so it must absorb or emit certain value of energy. It cannot emit or absorb in between. The hydrogen spectrum consists of several series of lines named after their discoverer. So what it means we will discuss in detail. Balmer shows in 1885 on the basis of experimental observations that if spectral lines are expressed in terms of the wave number, then the visible lines of the hydrogen spectrum obey the following formula. So this will be our formula. V bar is equal to 109677 into 1 upon 2 raised to 2 minus 1 upon n raised to 2 centimeter inverse, where n is the integer value. It may be 3, 4, 5 and so on, but it must be greater than 3. Why? We will discuss it later. So the series of lines described by this formula are called Balmer series. So in simple manner, this is our emission spectra of hydrogen mentioned in figure 2.10 as we discussed earlier. So these lines are obtained due to the emission of energy from the hydrogen molecules or atoms. So that's why it is emission spectra of hydrogen. So these lines represents emission of energy. First hydrogen absorbed them, then it emitted. So different scientists observed different lines emitted by the hydrogen and they gave their own name. Okay, so certain lines will be known as Balmer series from the name of scientist Balmer. Balmer series is the only series which falls in visible spectra, and all the remaining lights will be in infrared or less than that, or ultraviolet or more than that frequencies. Swedish spectroscopic Johannes Rydberg noted that all the series of lines in the hydrogen spectrum could be described by the following expression. It is the same expression as mentioned in 2.8, but instead of 2 and n, here we placed, instead of 2 we placed n1 and instead of n we placed n2. That means certain other values where n1 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on, and n2 will be n1 plus 1. That means if n1 is 1, then n2 must be 2 or more than that. The value 1,09,677 centimeter inverse is called Rydberg constant for the hydrogen. The first 5 series of the lines that correspond to N1 is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are known as Lyman, Balmer, Bastian, Brackett and Fun series respectively. Table 2.3 shows the series of transitions in the hydrogen spectra. Figure 2.11 on page 46 shows the Lyman, Balmer, Bastian series of the transition of hydrogen atom. Hydrogen gives simplest line spectra and all the other elements gives more and more complex line spectra. So for easy study we will concentrate on hydrogen spectra only. So here table representing spectral region of different series is mentioned. If Lyman is there, then it will fall in ultraviolet. Balmer is the only invisible, and Bastian, Brackett, Fund, all of them are in infrared regions. And here we have a table representing different series. and what it actually trying to represent. So first of all, let us observe a little bit of this table. So first of all, note that we have n is equal to 1 at the bottommost, then we have n is equal to 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. Okay, so as we can see, let us assume that our sample of hydrogen absorbed some of the energy from electromagnetic radiation. So obviously energy of this hydrogen will be increased. So initial energy without absorbance of electromagnetic radiation, initial energy was, let us say 1. Okay, so this is its ground state. It will try to come back to its ground state because it is more stable. As mentioned earlier, if it absorbs energy and energy increases, stability decreases. So all of the matter will try to get stability back. Okay, so this hydrogen will try to get its most stable state, which will be n is equal to 1. So by the absorbance of energy from this electromagnetic radiation, let us say energy of hydrogen is increased from n is equal to 1 to n is equal to 2. Okay, so now it is at n2 level. That means energy of hydrogen is increased, it is in excited state. Now it will start emitting energy. So when it start emitting energy, it will lose the energy and it will come back to its initial state. That means n is equal to 1. So during this transformation, it will release electromagnetic radiation which falls in ultraviolet region. Okay, so it is Lyman series. Now let us talk about Balmer series a little bit. So as we can see, Balmer series will start at n is equal to 2. That means our ground level in case of Balmer series is already excited state of hydrogen, and we are going to excite it more. That means we are providing more energy to the hydrogen and energy will increase even further. So hydrogen will try to move back to n is equal to 2 level. So first of all, we will provide the energy to the hydrogen atoms. It will increase its energy, and let us say now energy level of hydrogen will become n is equal to 3. So now after some time, hydrogen will start losing energy. So when it start losing energy from level 3 and when it is trying to move or come back at level 2, as we can see here, red colored light will be emitted and you will see red light glowing from the hydrogen gas. Okay, so this is the simple representation of spectral lines of hydrogen, and now we will discuss it in detail. Now except hydrogen, other atoms or elements have comparatively complex line spectra, but still we can see certain similarities between them. So first point, line spectrum of element is unique. That means if let us say we are trying to obtain line spectra of carbon, so no matter what is the time, what is the date and what is the place, if it is carbon, then line spectra of carbon will be the same. Complex or not, it doesn't matter. If it is obtained first time and it is carbon, then all of the other carbons will give us same result. It is unique for each and every element. There is a regularity in the line spectrum of each element. That means again same thing, they shows similarity with each other, and same type of element always gives same type of line spectra. The questions which are arise, what are the reasons for these similarities, and if it is something to do with the electronic structure of atoms, there are the questions needed to be answered, and we shall find the later that answer to this question provided the key in the understanding electronic structure of these elements. That means we are obtaining this type of line spectra and we are still discussing about the structure of atoms. Actually these line spectra can light up the arrangement of electrons around the atom or inside the atom. So line spectra actually do depends on the electronic arrangement of atom. If we can solve the line spectra, then we can identify the pattern behind the arrangement of electrons in atom.